All right, so that would be your final answer. Who had that answer? Okay, so now we're going to write this in scientific notation. So again, how many hops for me to move my decimal, which is right here? I want to move it between the 7 and the 3. So it's going to be 7.3 times 10. Go ahead and count how many hops. So there's 6, so that, and because I'm making a very small number, it's a small number, and I'm moving my decimal to the right, that's a negative 6. All right, any questions about how we work through that? So I might have to change the due date for homework 1 because that one, I have to look at it again. So let's go ahead, go to your notes. Let's go to page 4 in your notes. So yesterday we did the product of a power. Now we're doing power of a power. So when you see an exponent on the outside of the parentheses, we have to multiply. So I want you to underline or circle where it says multiply. And this is when you see an exponent on the outside. So does everyone see how we have this exponent right here that's on the outside, that 3? We don't add the 5 and the 3. This time we multiply 5 times 3. Because what that really means is I have into the 5th 3 times. That's what an exponent is. An exponent is a way to show repeated multiplication. So instead of writing it out 3 times into the 5th, instead of writing it out 3 times, we just multiply it. We get into the 15th. So for my second one, instead of adding 4 plus 2, I'm multiplying it. 4 times 2, which would be x to the 8th. So go ahead, take a minute and do these 4 questions by yourself. Multiply. Sometimes they could be negative, sometimes they could be positive. We'll talk about negative exponents a little later in the unit, but for right now, all I want you to do is simplify by multiplying. So you're multiplying your exponents. Multiply your exponents. So 4 times 11 is 44. Negative 7 times negative 3. What's negative 7 times negative 3? Positive 21. 2 times 4, 8. And 3 times negative 2, negative 6. So we're going to combine this with what we talked about yesterday now. So we're going to bring these 2 laws together. It's like we're building a snowball. Like I'm going to keep adding a new law, and then we're going to roll that into the other laws to get a bigger and bigger snowball. So here, now we have multiple things raised to the power of 5. But what I want to make sure you understand is that this 3, you're actually going to take 3 to the power of 5. And then I have x to the 5th to the power of 5. And I have y squared to the power of 5. So we have 3 different things that we're raising to the power of 5. So go ahead, pick up your calculator. Yes. No. Pick up your calculator and multiply 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Or just do an exponent and put 3 to the power of 5. Does anyone need help typing that in the calculator? 3 to the power of 5. You're going to use that upside down V that's right underneath the pi symbol. So 3 to the power of 5 is 243. And now for your variables, you're multiplying. So that would be x to the power of 25 and y to the power of 10. All right, take a minute. Any questions about how we work through that? Okay, we got a couple more. So at the bottom of page 5, we have this one. Let's go ahead and do this one. So you're taking everything to the power of 3. So that would be 4 to the power of 3, x cubed to the power of 3, y to the negative 2 to the power of 3. Take a minute and get your 3 answers. So the main thing to keep in mind is that 4 to the third is not 4 times 3. 4 to the third is 4 times 4 times 4. And that should be your final answer. Who had that answer? All right, let's look at this next one. So we have negative 3 to the power of 6. And then I have a to the negative third. To the power of 6. And b to the power of 6. If you're using your calculator, make sure you type it in like this. So you have to put that negative 3 inside of a parentheses. So you have to let your calculator know that that negative and 3 is together. If you only put negative 3 to the power of 6, you're going to get a negative answer, which is wrong. So make sure you're typing this in your calculator just like that. So 729, and then that would be a to the power of negative 18, b to the power of 6. All right, go ahead and go to the next page, page 6, and do the next one by yourself. Oh, thank you, Stacy. I didn't even hear anybody at the door. Thank you. All right, go ahead and go to the next page and try to do this next one all by yourself. Everything is to the power of 4. That's a big number. 1296, x to the negative 4, y to the positive 8. Who had that for their answer? All right, good. Go ahead and do that last one by yourself. So the exponent is a 5. So you're taking 2 to the power of 5, x squared to the power of 5, and y cubed to the power of 5. All right, so we have 2 to the 5th, which is 32. And then I'm multiplying 2 times 5, that would be x to the 10th, and then y to the 15th. So I want you to add this question that I just added at the bottom. Go ahead and find a space to squeeze this last question in, because I want you to see what this looks like when we start to combine these rules together. So this is our last question. Go ahead and copy that down somewhere. Find some space. And then we'll end there. So the first thing you want to do is start with your exponent on the outside. So if you see a power on the outside of a parentheses, we're going to do that first. So let's start off by doing this first. Let's go ahead and simplify this. So that means that I'll have 3 squared times x cubed squared times y to the 4th squared, which will be 9 times x to the 6th and y to the 8th. And then we're going to bring this parentheses down and use the law that we learned yesterday. So let's finish this out by simplifying this out. Yes, Drew? Good. Just hold on to it. Thank you. So you're going to multiply your numbers and then add together your powers. So go ahead and finish that out. Who has, anyone else have an answer besides Andrew? All right, I'm going to give you a couple minutes or a minute. So for this last step, you're just multiplying your numbers and adding your exponents. So the first thing we had to do was simplify our exponent. And then after you simplify your exponent, you go through and multiply if you have more than one numbers, and then add your powers. So let's go ahead and multiply 2 times 9, which would be 18. And then how many x's do we have altogether? 8. And then your Y's, you have 11. So the reason why I wanted to go through this is because if you look at your homework, go ahead and take out your homework. Homework 1. If you look at numbers 5 or 6, 7, and 8. 6, 7, and 8, you have to do your exponent law first and then do the product law. So that's actually the end of today's lesson. Now this homework is actually not going to be due on Thursday. It's not due on Thursday because we're still working. We haven't started 10.2. But what I want you to all work on for the rest of the class period is I want you to finish the front. So numbers 1 through 8. That should be finished. I'll give you the updated due date on Thursday.